How Britain's tolerance of Igbophobia led to an unending impunity against the Igbos. The Kano riots happened 8 years after the Jos Riots, but the latter was very much different from the former. While the Hausa's Fulani teamed up against the Igbos in the Jos Riots, the Hausa's Fulanis joined forces with the traditional enemies, Biram and Tiv people, to fight the Igbos and other southerners in the Kano riots. At that time, the British government was Nigeria's colonial master. Aside from one person who was prosecuted for homicide in the Jos Riots, nothing serious was done to bring the chief aggressors to book or stop future attacks against the Igbos. Since then till today, Igbos and other southerners have been constantly killed mercilessly in the north, the goods looted and destroyed with zero repercussions. Let's start with the 1945 Jos Riots. Before 1945, there had been several intertribal clashes between the southerners, especially the Igbos, and the northerners, but the final straw that broke the camel's back was the Jos Riots, which took place in October 1945. A full account of the riot can be found in the book, Nigerian Pogrom, The Organized Massacre of Eastern Nigerians, and Leonard Plotnikov's piece titled, The Journal of Modern African Studies. According to some informants who gave insights as to what precipitated the event that led to the quarrel between the Igbos and Hausas. The problem started at the market for potatoes, chickens, eggs, timber and planks that stood close to the railway. Different tribes were represented in this market. Both Igbo traders and Hausas sold edible items, but the Igbos dealt more in the woods. On a Monday morning in October 1945, an Igbo and a Hausa trader, both of whom sold potatoes, got into an argument, and in the process of arguing, mutual abuse that led to blows were exchanged. While the two men were restrained by their fellow tribesmen, the news of the fight got to Alhaji Inusa Mai Dankali, the leader of the potatoes traders. When Alaju got there, he started imploring the crowd to disperse. He was still imploring when Joseph Onyema, one of the leading Igbo lumber traders, arrived at the scene. Joseph and Alhaji Inusa began quarreling, with each blaming the other for allowing the combat to continue. The fight between the traders got worse. Neither Onyema nor Dankali could control the crowd. The angry mob began gathering planks and breaking mango tree branches for weapons. In the confusion that followed, Alhaji Dankali was struck on the head. He fell on the floor and became unconscious. The Hausa men saw that their leader was unconscious and assumed he was dead. They began shouting and chasing the Igbo traders. The Igbo traders fled. Onyema and another Igbo trader raced across the railway line into the township and headed for the Catholic church. They tried to enter the church for safety but were allegedly pushed back by a frightened priest. The other Igbo man was able to escape, but Onyema was beaten and left lying unconscious in the street. The Igbos saw the actions of the priest as an act of betrayal, and for the next year, the Igbo Catholics boycotted the church in Jos and resumed religious participation only after the priest accused of denying sanctuary had left. One of the Hausa mobs who beat Onyema claimed that the district officer told them to beat up the Igbos because they had killed one of their brothers. In his words, "When we returned from the Roman Catholic Church, a DO came and told us the Igbos had killed one of our brothers, then he gave instructions to beat Igbos." It's also worth noting that at that same period, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Nigeria's first president who was of Igbo origin, was quite unpopular amongst the colonial government. His entrance into journalism in 1937 changed the face of the Nigerian media, as the press became more courageous, with an overt bent towards helping to loosen the noose of the oppressive colonial system and the shackles of the feet of oppression. That was how the Hausas rushed to the native towns and began shouting, "The Igbos have killed Alhaji Inusa Mai Dankali. The European administrators have given us orders to attack them." With that, they started attacking the Igbos. They destroyed anyone and any property that was, correctly or not, identified as Igbo. Wares identified with Igbo market women, such as gari, cassava flour, stockfish, and palm oil, were scattered within and outside. Market, sheds and stalls were destroyed or damaged. This account is very believable, judging from the fact that there is an utter absence of any government record of the conflict. There were also talks about the English not liking the Igbos because of Nnamdi Azikiwe's agitation to throw the English out of the country. The next is the 1953 Kano Riots. Anthony Enahoro's motion for Nigeria to become independent by 1956 was supported by his party action group members, the majority of the members of the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons. However, the Sardauna of Sokoto, Alhaji Amadu Bello, in a counter-motion, replaced, in the year 1956, with the phrase, "as soon as practicable." This did not go down well with the action group members. The northern leaders who felt sidelined became more embittered after they were confronted by hostile crowds who insulted, jeered and called them all sorts of names as they stepped out of the Federal Parliamentary House in Lagos. After that, the action group led by Chief Samuel Akintola then traveled to Kaduna for a tour which was designated to hold 15th–17th of May 1953. This tour aimed to campaign for self-governance, but things didn't go as planned. Firstly, the Kano Native Authority withdrew its permission to grant the meeting. Secondly, a group of Northern People's Congress supporters went to the Colonial Hotel, the venue of the meeting, and started stoning people close to the hotel. During the fracas, 2 people believed to be Southerners died, and the mob later attempted to gain entry into Sabongari but were subdued by the Native Authority police. The situation became more serious and became an inter-ethnic crisis. This crisis lasted from the 17th, the 19th of May. During this period, mobs and hooligans from the northern section of Kano broke into the southern and Igbo-dominated Sabongari area and began killing people. Although they were chanting against the Yorubas, the casualties in the Sabongari area were mostly Igbos. Shops in the Sabongari market were looted and violent attacks took place. But the Native Authority police and the army were able to prevent further entry of hooligans into the Kano area. In the end, 36 people were officially declared dead and 241 were wounded. Several arrests were made, but all of them made bail. The colonial British government did little or nothing to bring these murderers to book. After the riot, on the 20th of May 1953 at a parliamentary session in Britain, inquiries were made by Irene White to the Secretary of State for the Colonies, Mr. J. Griffith, about the recent disturbances in Kano. In his words, "Serious rioting, the exact origins of which are not yet clearly established, broke out at Kano on the 16th of May, after the Native Authority had cancelled all permits for political meetings given the prevailing tension. The rioting was largely confined to the strangers' quarter outside the city walls and did not spread to other parts of the region. Originally, the main participants in the riots appear to have been lawless hooligans, but the fighting soon took on an inter-tribal character, with Northerners fighting Southerners. Some of the rioters were equipped with firearms. But the interest of Britain was revealed by a statement made by John Tinley before the inquiries were concluded. In Tinley's words, "Even though the recent riots tend to accelerate the centrifugal feelings of the 3 regions, will my right hon. Friends bear in mind the immense importance economically of keeping the 3 regions together and not letting them balkanize themselves." They further talked about how to prevent a recurrence by calling on the governor to appeal to all leaders of parties in Nigeria so they could join together to appeal to their supporters. Nothing was said about the chief aggressors and how to bring them to book. What started as Britain's animosity and nonchalant attitude towards the hate crimes meted out against the Igbos has helped to establish impunity which has continued to ravage the Igbos, other Southerners and Christian Northerners till today. Hope you enjoyed watching this. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification